Chad, Lori, can I ask you a couple of questions? Can I ask you where the kids are? Grandparents are very worried about your kids.
Lori, everybody wants to know.
What happened to JJ?
Are the kids okay?
Just answer the question.
We loved Lori. I'll tell you that right now.
She was a good mom.
She was a wonderful mom.
Loving, doting, caring mom.
I have a wonderful husband who is watching our two beautiful children.
Lori has 5 marriages in all.
Guard, for people's questions.
With Lori silent, we reached out to her family to see if they could shed any light on her behavior or the whereabouts of her kids. They agreed to sit down with us early on in the investigation. At the time, they painted a radically different picture than the one the public was seeing.
Take 2.
Well, I'm Janice Cox, and I'm Lori's mother. And I am very much appreciative of an opportunity to say what I know to be true about Lori. She's beautiful, she's sweet, she's kind, she's generous to a fault. Lori and Summer both took dance, and they both ended up being cheerleaders. They both love sports. They both played on the softball team that I coached, our church softball team, for 3 years. Lori was the pitcher and would never let me take her out. It was really sad. She became a hairstylist because she loves help making people look more beautiful. But the most important thing to me is the kind of mother she is, the way she dedicated herself to her children.
I realize that it looks bad, but I know Lori very well, and I know she would not harm her children or anyone's children.
I know Lori, and I know Lori's done everything she can to protect her kids.
When I first started talking to her, the first thing she said to me was, "Mom, you know me. You know I'm taking care of my kids."
So the way the family describes it, they describe this as a very close-knit unit, but there is something really weird. They weren't at the wedding because they didn't even know there was a wedding.
I don't think I knew that Lori married Chad Daybell until I saw it on TV.
To fully understand Lori, I think it helps to go back in time to see how her past relationships may have played a role in her current situation.
In the late 1980s, Lori's a high school cheerleader in Rialto, California. She's popular, she's smart, she comes from a devout Mormon family. In 1992, she marries her high school sweetheart.
He wasn't my favorite, and we didn't have a close relationship. She left home when she was 18, and we asked Lori to wait a year, but they just went off. Oh, we didn't go to the wedding.
There was soon a second marriage, and it's out of this marriage Lori's first child, Colby, is born.
We weren't in favor of him, even though he was Colby's father.
Hoping the third time is the charm, Lori marries again, this time to Joseph Ryan.
They caught people's attention because they were beautiful, they were magnanimous, they were both extroverts, they were, just kind of larger than life.
One reason Lori had wanted to get married was to have another baby. So she got pregnant with Tylee right away, and she was really excited about having Tylee.
It's during this time Lori makes an appearance on the game show Wheel of Fortune.
Gopher, Doc, Isaac, and Captain Steubing.
Yeah!
And in that clip, Lori describes married life in glowing terms.
I have a wonderful husband, Joseph, at home, who is watching our two beautiful children, Colby, who's 7, and Tylee, who is 1.
Yeah, what do you guys like to do for fun?
We like to play all kinds of sports on our 3 acres.
Okay, sounds like you have a nice life there.
We do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And here they are, your contestants for Mrs. Texas 2004. Contestant number 4, Lori Ryan.
Lori does not lack for confidence. She was bold enough to get up on stage at a Texas beauty pageant.
She is Mrs. Hayes County. Her husband's name is Joseph. They've been married for 3.5 years, and they have 2 children.
In 2004, Lori was recruited to do the pageant, and she worked really hard to get in perfect shape.
I don't know really what prompted her to want to do the pageant, other than it gave her kind of an outlet.
And she thought that might help her marriage at the time. Lori does have stage presence. She's very poised. She did everything beautifully.
Tell us who you are. What makes you tick?
Being a good mom is very important to me, and a good wife, and a good worker, and being all those things together is not easy. So I'm basically a ticking time bomb.
Joseph Ryan appears to have been a bit of a ticking time bomb himself.
I did witness him be physically abusive toward Colby.
He was physically abusive from the very get-go.
Now that Wheel of Fortune clip we saw Lori in becomes a lot more interesting because we're able to see how she can portray this illusion of happiness even when her marriage is falling apart.
The marriage implodes under allegations that Joe Ryan abused both children. Those allegations were investigated but never substantiated. This custody battle drags on for years.
How you guys doing?
Enter Alex Cox, Lori's brother.
Tell me what your impressions of Alex were when you met him.
My impressions of Alex was that he was a little off and lacked social skills, or just maybe didn't really connect with people.
I think that's all. What did he tell you about Lori's husband, Joseph Ryan, Tylee's dad?
He had told me that there had been some allegations of abuse and that he kind of took it upon himself to protect Tylee and Colby, and that he had attempted to take Joe's life.
Alex got into it with Joe Ryan in a parking lot and assaulted Ryan with a taser in the heart.
Alex winds up serving time for aggravated assault. It's another failed marriage for Lori. Enter Charles Vallow, a man who will eventually become husband number 4.
It's interesting to note Lori's early marriages didn't last very long, but it didn't sour her on the institution of marriage either.
I don't know why Lori's been married so many times. I think she has always worn her heart on her sleeve. She thinks that she is trying to help people when she marries them.
Can Charles make Lori happy? Can anyone make this mother of 2 happy?
It's like the old adage, mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
I didn't have any other choice. That's what he told me. I said, "How are you feeling?" He said, "Mom, I feel terrible, but I'd do anything to protect Lori and Tylee."
Charles had never been violent with anybody, so you kind of start getting a bigger picture of this just doesn't feel right.
Both of us have driven people home after interviews, and this would be at the top of bizarre for me, the whole car ride.
The odd part about it was just the complete lack of emotion. It was a very nonchalant, Lori had a big smile on her face. A case like this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. The case is just beginning.
In a word, detectives find all of this odd, but odd is not a felony.
Now, being weird and not making sense is going to make the investigation continue.
But they better hurry because Lori is off to Idaho to land husband number 5.
Charles knew his...
It's really interesting when she moves to Rexburg because Chad is married to someone else.
Facebook photos show Chad and Tammy as a happy couple.
Chad and Tammy moved here about 5 or 6 years ago with their family.
In his memoir, Living on the Edge of Heaven, Chad Daybell describes being called to Rexburg. He writes, "A voice said, moving to Rexburg will be a tremendous blessing on your children and your grandchildren."
What I remember of them is a perfect couple. Good mom, good dad, good kids.
Tammy is a real spitfire, though. She had a mind of her own, and she was not one that was easily walked on.
Chad Daybell and I served as missionaries for the LDS Church back in the late 80s. Chad was the most humble missionary that I ever knew.
While Lori and Chad have been known to attend LDS services, Chad has also written books and lectured on his own personal beliefs, which are distinct from LDS theology.
Chad was the author of these doomsday books that had a peculiar prophecy about the end of the world and how people should prepare for that.
His books are all about the end of times and dying. His visions deal with dying. When Chad lived in Springville, Utah, he was a grave digger.
Chad was the cemetery sexton before he resigned.
A few years ago, Chad wrote his autobiography, and it gives you a glimpse of the way this guy thinks and what he believes.
In his memoir, Chad Daybell writes, "I don't fictionalize any of the events portrayed. My torn veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side. The scenes I am shown are real events that will happen."
He was gathering people to Rexburg. They were moving there because Chad Daybell said, this is where you need to be.
We don't yet know the full size of this group, but what we do know is that at the very least, Lori Vallow and her family relocated to this area.
At first,
I'm a man of truth, and I remember having that uncomfortable, question that I go to him with, did you take a shot at Brandon? And he said no. He joked about it. He's a comedian, and he said, Melanie, me in a recognizable car with, right across the street, I'm a great shot. It didn't add up.
One thing Alex was not was a liar. Alex was very honest, and Alex would always say, if you called him on something or asked him if he did something, he immediately owned up to everything he did wrong.
Police say there's no denying that a bullet was in fact lodged in Brandon's vehicle. But why would anyone want to kill him? In court filings, Brandon says he can think of a million reasons.
Brandon believed that if there was a motive to kill him, it would have been for $1 million life insurance policy that he had, which Melanie would have been the beneficiary.
It's just not true. It's just a fight of trying to make me look bad and accuse me of things I haven't done.
Police haven't announced one way or the other who was the shooter that night. And Melanie denies having anything to do with the shooting and has not been charged.
Brandon knows me and knows I wouldn't do that.
It did start out for me as a very specific kind of assignment to find two people and a vehicle. And then realized what I was seeing was this small group of people in Arizona start moving to Idaho.
And in Idaho, there will be another spouse on the wrong end of a gun. And a fateful call between Lori and Chad.
Glad you called.
Yeah.
This is an active, ongoing case.
Lori, please start cooperating with the police.
If you have any information, we want both of the children back.
It relates to the beliefs that Lori and that Chad hold as part of this new church called the Church of the Firstborn.
According to police, Chad and Lori had spoken to others about dark spirits, even zombies, and what seems a bizarre mission.
Their mission is to rid the world of zombies.
Police are in the process of re-examining everyone and everything with a connection to Chad.
Our crews here at the cemetery were here at 6:30 in the morning.
Even exhuming Chad's dead wife. The whole country became obsessed with this case. Where were JJ and Tyler?
We all wanted to talk to Chad and Lori.
He asked you where the kids are.
Are the kids okay? No comment. It's a simple question. Just answer the question.
Police end up looking on Chad's property.
What did they find? They gridded off these areas, and they start peeling away layers.
Are you okay? They're searching the property.
And we all know what that search would reveal. Who was responsible?
One morning, you're going to wake up and say, oh my God, what have I done?
Rexburg is a beautiful, safe place. As safe as any city built near an old volcano. Its motto, is America's family community. And this is where Chad and his wife Tammy are raising their family. And then Laurie came to town. Maybe an eruption was inevitable.
Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell, returns home after a long day at work, and this 49-year-old librarian is taking stuff out of the back of the car when trouble comes up from behind. Tammy would later post on her Facebook page, a guy with a ski mask was suddenly standing by the back of my car with a paintball gun. He shot at me several times, although I don't think it was loaded. I yelled for Chad, and he ran off around the back of my house. I have no idea what his motive was, and we never spoke, even after I asked him several times what he thought he was doing. So Tammy Daybell stares down the barrel of a gun and manages to survive. But just 10 days later, she winds up dead. The obituary says that she passes away due to natural causes, but at the time, she's actually training for a marathon.
It's hard to accept her death. I don't believe it.
Husband Chad declines an autopsy before Tammy is buried in Utah, and he receives a $430,000 life insurance payout.
I did see Chad that morning, and I don't know how he was grieving, if he was. I do know that he didn't show a lot of emotion.
Honestly, I think if I were 49 years old and my wife died unexpectedly at night, I would have asked for an autopsy just to see if there was some medical reason that might be passed on to my children or whatever. But I don't know why that wasn't done. I think that is very unusual and causes suspect.
It seems like everywhere Laurie is, people are either dead or missing.
Kay Woodcock and her brother Charles were pretty close. They shared a lot of things, including his online passwords.
I worked for him a little bit, so he gave me all of that information.
In a way, it helped jumpstart an investigation into what happened, correct? You saw some things on a computer?
Yes.
And what did you see?
I saw emails. That email account was linked to the Amazon account. Laurie was ordering from the Amazon account still. So I clicked on those and boom, there I see the address they're at in Rexburg, Idaho. Apartment number, everything.
The online information that Kay finds is key because now we have an address to where Laurie is and a door for the cops to knock on. It also reveals something else. Laurie purchases a ring on Amazon under Charles Vallow's account, a wedding ring. And it is this ring that turns up in her wedding photos to Chad Daybell.
How does a mother who, up until seemingly a few months ago, loved her children, seemingly would do anything for her children, how does she do a 180 like that?
I think that she and Chad together have just, you know, that like they just feed off of each other. I know she knows right from wrong.
Just admit that, Chad.
And the notoriety.
Just admit that, Laurie. This is nothing about religion. There's no way you can make me believe that in their heart, they honestly believe this BS. One morning, you're going to wake up and you've got to look at yourself in a mirror and say, oh my God, what have I done?
That day is coming sooner than Laurie and Chad know.
On November 5th, Laurie and Chad are on the beach getting married. But police are methodically uncovering evidence that suggests foul play. And it all ties back to the newlyweds and Laurie's brother, Alex. Evidence like that ring on Laurie's finger. You see, the receipt from Amazon shows that it was purchased before Chad Daybell's wife Tammy's death.
After the wedding, the couple returns to Rexburg, Idaho,
But the honeymoon is officially over the moment detectives show up to conduct that welfare check requested by the grandparents.
And that's when things really started getting weird.
Detectives speak to Lori's brother Alex and Chad. According to police, even though Chad had just married Lori, he acted like he didn't know her very well.
I asked Mr. Daybell for Lori Vallow's phone number, and he stated he didn't have it. I found it suspicious because I knew that they were married 2 weeks prior to my contact with Mr. Daybell.
Brother Alex says JJ is fine and with grandparents in Louisiana. Of course, that is a lie.
I told Mr. Cox that was unlikely because Kay was the one who originally called in the welfare check.
This shell game being played by Lori, Chad, and Alex is designed to distract and deceive. And to a certain extent, it's actually effective because as the clock keeps on ticking and time goes on, it's less and less likely that these children are ever going to be seen again.
I am Sebastian Salas. I am the owner of A Chapel of Love. I have personally officiated over 100,000 weddings, and I booked the wedding of Alex Cox and Zulema Pastenes.
Zulema is a spiritual woman and life coach who claims that her clients will learn that there's a divine power working magic in their lives.
Zulema was the one that coordinated and paid for everything. It was all Zulema.
At the chapel, Alex demonstrates a little bit of magic himself, making his last name disappear and taking on the last name of his new bride.
Alex took Zulema's last name. It was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I have never seen that. That was the first time I'd ever seen a groom take the bride's last name.
This is an amateurish attempt by this guy to get the police off his trail, essentially. He's adopting the name of somebody else because it's gonna be tougher for the police to track him down. So in his mind, what he's doing is he's erasing his tracks. This ceremony was about as romantic as a trip to the DMV.
Ceremony lasted about 3.5 minutes. Alex was quiet, wasn't very involved in the process, and Alex wasn't too eager to add anything onto his package, like flowers for his bride or even have a picture taken of his wedding.
I just wanted simple, short and sweet, get married and be out of here.
The couple returns to Arizona where the newly minted Alex Pastenes begins his new life. Meanwhile, Chad and Lori are secluded in Hawaii when they get a call from their friend Melanie Gibb. Now, Melanie has questions and Melanie wants answers.
So she comes up with this idea to call Lori and record her and get her to admit that she asked Melanie Gibb to lie. The audio from that phone call is later released by authorities.
Hello, sweet Melanie.
Hi, Chad. Hey, Lori.
Melanie's a little awkward. She doesn't know how to confront Lori, but she says, hey, I want to talk to you about what you asked me to do the other day. I want to talk to you about that lie.
Well, I was wondering why you told the police why he was with me.
I just needed to have somebody so I wouldn't have to tell them where he really was because they were going to tell Kay where he is.
Is JJ safe?
He is safe and happy.
In the phone call, you get a little bit of insight into Lori's world. You're either for her or you're against her. And once Melanie Gibb starts questioning Lori, Lori puts her sort of in this category. You're against me.
Never had any idea that you would be the person of all people to turn me. I cannot believe
I am asking questions, and I am concerned for you. That is what somebody does when they care.
You don't sound like you're concerned. You sound like you're accusatory. You do not sound concerned. You sound pissed off.
Rexburg police at this point take a trip down to Utah to this cemetery where they're going to exhume the body of Tammy Daybell. They're in the process of re-examining everyone and everything with a connection to Chad.
It was kept quiet. It wasn't a media circus. It was very quiet. Our crews here at the cemetery were here at 6:30 in the morning. There were no onlookers with the exception of a dozen people from the attorney's office, Rexburg Police Department, several people from the coroner's office. Everything was photographed, and believe it or not, Tammy was back and buried within 6 or 7 hours that same day. It's interesting that Tammy used to sell cemetery plots out here and keep the records of the cemetery, and now we're here doing an interview. It's kind of mind-boggling if you really want to think about it a little bit.
One day after the exhumation, there's a 911 call, and once again, it involves Alex Cox.
911, where is your emergency?
I have a older male here named Alex. I think he's passed out. It's really bad. Come upstairs, in the bathroom.
What is your emergency?
I have a older male here named Alex.
Hangs behind Chad's house.
It allows investigators to understand where that phone was traveling and then extrapolate from there. Now, you can't say this was Alex the entire time with this phone. You don't know that for certain. But when you start adding it up, you say, this is his phone going from place to place. Then the phone goes back to his apartment. And for investigators, it leads in others to say, who else could have done this? You don't know for sure, but you are sort of making that extrapolation.
Tylee, the last she's seen is on September 8th. She disappears. Alex goes over to the apartment early morning hours of September 9th.
This evidence is fascinating because it's the only time that Alex's phone is at any period in time in Lori's apartment between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. Then at about 9:30, the phone pings from Chad's property towards the East End.
Then there were the text messages from Chad Daybell at around this same time, correct?
Right. According to the affidavit, a short time perhaps after Alex had left the property, Chad then texts his wife, Tammy Daybell, saying, hey, there's something interesting going on back by the pet cemetery. There was a raccoon, and I had to end up shooting it, and then I buried it in the pet cemetery. He also mentions burning some stuff in the fire pit. I think he made an excuse that it was going to get wet or whatever, and he wanted to get rid of it.
Was there ever a raccoon discovered buried on Chad Daybell's property?
No.
Let's talk about Lori. About 2 weeks later, September 22nd. What is she saying, Ryan, to her friends at this point about her children?
Well, she's talking about JJ. Right, and this becomes key when you talk about zombies in this context. It relates to the beliefs that Lori and that Chad hold as part of this new church called the Church of the Firstborn. Zombies are these people who are always considered to have dark spirits.
They were no longer seen as human beings. They were seen as zombies.
And so what that does is it tees the ball up in her mind, expressing to other people that these kids are now bad, and that who they were, who Tylee was, who JJ was, are not anymore.
She's saying her kids have been possessed.
Right.
Her kids are possessed. Right. Maybe look at it this way, that they have created a different reality.
On September 22nd, that very day that Lori was complaining to her friend, something happens. Alex comes over, yes?
Alex comes over to the apartment. He takes JJ. He has him for a while, brings him back early that evening. There were house guests there. And so the next day, the house guests get up and there's no JJ there. So they say to Lori, hey, where's JJ? And Lori allegedly tells the house guests that JJ was acting up. So Alex came back over and took him back in the middle of the night. And then JJ is never seen again.
And In this particular story, investigators were able to use Alex's phone again to retrace where he actually went during that period of time.
Alex is only seen from his phone in the month of September as being on Chad Daybell's property 4 times. 2 times, he's indoors, inside the property. But on the 9th and the 23rd of September, he's outside in the backyard, according to that phone signal.
And those are the only times.
Yep. I think one thing that makes this case difficult for investigators is it's hard to know exactly who did what. The signals will tell you where certain devices were, but what's been probably very difficult for investigators, and especially prosecutors in this case, and when people look at this and say, well, why aren't there murder charges? Because you don't know exactly who did what. Who was involved in actually laying hands on these children?
That search warrant was executed at Chad Daybell's house. What did they find?
Today, the Rexburg Police Department has conducted a search warrant in the residence of Chad Daybell.
I wanted to kind of go through what happened on June 9th. That search warrant was executed at Chad Daybell's house. What did they find?
The FBI, they gridded off these areas and they start peeling away layers. This is how you do this. You just don't start digging. It's almost like an archaeological dig to a certain extent.
They removed some topsoil that was right underneath the sod, which revealed a human skull.
Human remains that were later ID'd through dental records that they matched Tylee.
And incredibly, while all this digging is going on, Ryan, Chad Daybell is there initially.
While the search effort is happening, he's actually there watching it in real time on the driveway in his car. And according to police reports, he's just sort of there continuously the whole time watching it happen. Then at one point, he moves the car across the street to his daughter's property, watches from there. And then once the remains are found, he decides that's a good time to go for a drive and literally pulls off and starts driving. Obviously, police think otherwise, and they pull him over and arrest him. But when you think about that, this is all happening in real time, and he is sitting there watching it happen and then leaves as the remains are found. You have to think those investigators were like, well, 2 and 2 equals 4 here. We know why he's leaving.
I don't think he has any emotional connection at all what they were doing in the backyard. I think he's thinking, I'm in trouble.
I got to get out of here. I got to run. I got to do something. I feel remorse. I feel emotion. Nothing.
Yeah, but antisocial personalities don't think through all that because they don't have any guilt. You know, it's like he thinks he's slick. And that basically, okay, you found these bodies here, now prove that I killed them. And that's, you know, that is where we are at this point.
How sure were they at that point that when they went digging, they were going to find those children?
I think they thought they were on the money. And another reason is I think they had totally exhausted that these kids were someplace else. They clearly were not with the grandparents in Louisiana. They clearly were not with friends in Arizona or another location in Idaho. And that this just made the most sense because, just let's face it, Chad and Lori both have basically tried to snow the police, you know, deny, and then come up with all these, in my view, ridiculous stories like Tylee is at BYU, Idaho. I mean, you can check that in 5 minutes, you're from law enforcement. It shows you sort of the unsophistication, but perhaps arrogance on their part, that they think they could pull this off.
I'm curious because you talk about Chad and his antisocial behavior. That's one person. Now you have Lori, capable of being a part of this, and Alex as well. How unusual is it that you would have 3 people capable of doing something that is unthinkable to almost every human being when it comes to children especially?
They take on this attitude that we're superior to everybody else, and we live in a different reality, and the world's going to change. I mean, if they think the world's going to end and there's going to be a second coming and, you know, they're going to be the king and queen of England after the rest of us disappear, it's such a bizarre and such a high-risk thing to do.
Do you see murder charges coming?
I'm surprised they haven't come, but I think The juries are going to look at these two and say, you two are the zombies, not these kids.
The only issue I have with that is prosecutors bring cases that they think in good faith that they can prove. So even if everything looks like a murder charge, they're not going to bring it unless they think they can prove it. The biggest mystery in this case is who did it? If you believe that one of these three people killed these children, who killed which child? How did they actually do it? So if you have Chad and Lori right there, will you be able to prove to the jury that Chad definitively killed Tylee? Not Lori, not Alex. Did Chad do it? Or did Lori do it? Or did Alex do it? That, I think, could set up some problems for the prosecutors. So while I think there could be murder charges in the future, I wonder if they're looking for something more right now to try to figure out how can I pin this on that person based on the evidence I have.
If you lay out all of this behavior we've talked about today, I will tell you, working homicide cases for 30 years, it's pretty darn compelling.
So what's Lori doing as investigators are digging up Chad's backyard? She's picking up the phone. It was a year ago this month when ABC News went to Idaho with JJ's grandparents. Larry and Kate pull up in front of Chad's house.
You see all this open space? What if JJ's right over there?
And that actually turned out to be a premonition. Larry was right. That was almost exactly where his grandson's body would be found almost 4 months later. So as the police and the FBI are digging up Chad's property, guess who calls Chad from jail? It's Lori. This is a fascinating phone call to listen to. You know, it's just this bizarre disconnect between this flighty conversation and the worst scene that could possibly happen outside.
Are you okay?
And that search would ultimately reveal the bodies of JJ and Tylee.
They found Tylee in parts. She had been burned. And then they find JJ. He's wrapped in duct tape and he's bound from one elbow to the other.
Are they in the house?
No, they're out on the property. They're talking between the lines. They know they're being recorded. They're trying to communicate with each other.
Are they saving stuff again?
They're searching. Logical.
Yeah.
So we'll see what transpires.
Okay.
Let's think about what Chad said. This odd choice of words. We'll see what transpires. Is that how someone would react if they had nothing to hide?
The FBI and the police show up at your house and they're digging holes in your backyard and somebody calls you, like, are you saying things like, the police are here searching my land. I can't believe they're here. Why are they here? What are they doing here? You hear Lori, her only concern is Chad.
She asks him if he wants her to pray. She wants to know what she can do to help him. He tells her to call their lawyer.
What can I do for you?
I would call Marco, just talk with him.
I love you. Should I try to call you later?
I don't know. You can try, yeah. I'll reach if I can.
Okay.
I love you, and I'll talk soon.
Okay, baby. I love you.
Okay. Love you. Good night.
That may have been the couple's last phone call. Moments later, Chad is arrested.
After JJ and Tylee's bodies were identified, Lori's sister released this statement. We have prayed for the truth to come to light, but we never thought it would look like this. Tylee and JJ are completely irreplaceable in our family. There are no words that can capture this loss. Words are just inadequate. Our family will never, ever be the same.
Chad prophesied that the world was going to end in July of 2020. You have to wonder how Lori feels now that Chad's prediction didn't come true.
The desertion charges against Lori were dropped once the children's bodies were found, but she is still facing other charges.
As of this moment, no murder charges have been filed against either Lori or Chad.
At the end of the day, you want justice. They seem like they would brighten the world, you know, when you look at their pictures. Just for their sake, you hope and pray for justice in this case.
We should note that Lori and Chad Daybell are now scheduled to face a jury in July. 2 felony charges allege that they worked to destroy and conceal evidence. Both have pleaded not guilty.
And Lori Daybell also pled not guilty to contempt of court charges for not producing her children or revealing where they were. And that is the heart of this story, those 2 children, JJ and Tylee.
And I know you're going to stay on this, Amy. And that is 2020 for tonight. From all of us here at ABC News, thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Amy Robach. Have a good night.
Crime stories have fascinated human beings since Cain and Abel. I've spent a lifetime exploring the edges of evil, exploring why people do what they do. I'm Scott Turow. As a criminal lawyer, I have seen the worst of humankind. As a best-selling novelist, I have probed the underbelly of human existence. I've written books that have sold millions of copies. But the story of this case still has to be written.
18-year-old Angie Dodge was raped and murdered.
A jury convicted Tab of first-degree murder and rape.
Sometimes true crime is more unthinkable than anything I have ever imagined.
I don't know what the hell you guys want. I wasn't there.
For 13 years, I believed that Chris Tapp was part of my daughter's killing.
This is not just a regular case. It's woven in the fabric of every IFPD guy's career that's here.
Target vehicle, we'll keep an eye on it.
There is one person that killed my daughter.
He's going to be coming out.
These are the stories that keep me up at night. The cases that are truly stranger than fiction.
Idaho Falls is a really nice little western town. It's a good place to live, good place to raise a family.
It's a city of about 65,000 and right on the Snake River.
We have a beautiful waterfall that's fairly long. It's probably a quarter of a mile long, and it's kind of a big attraction in town.
The Idaho Falls Temple is right in the center of town. It's sort of the center of spiritual life for a lot of the Mormon community in the area.
A lot of these people around here will give you the shirt off their back. Idaho Falls is a very safe place to live. We don't have a lot of murder.
Year-old Angie Dodge was raped and murdered.
Someone had raped and killed her.
Angie's throat was cut
in her Idaho Falls apartment.
This call came over the radio that body was found and suspicious
death. I want you to come and process this crime scene.
So I'd probably been on patrol for a couple of months. Very green. You can actually see me on that original news footage. It was my first homicide.
They cautioned me that it was a pretty graphic and violent scene, a lot of blood. And then they pointed me toward the front door. Took photographs of it to show my approach. I get to the top of the stairs and I continue to photograph. So I enter into the largest bedroom, and that's where I was able to see the victim. She's laying on the floor, on her back, next to a mattress.
Her sweatpants were pulled down just above knee level.
Her clothes are kind of disheveled.
She had had a shirt on that was slightly lifted up, and it was exposing one of the cut marks on one of her breasts.
I can see that she has some extensive lacerations or incisions, stab wounds, and there is a horrific wound to the throat.
There was a lot of blood. There were some blood marks on the wall.
And then off to my right, there was a laundry basket and some stuffed animals. It was probably the worst case I've ever seen. It's the nightmare.
When you have a child that's murdered, life just gets shattered. And there's no way to put the pieces back together.
Angie was an 18-year-old girl. She had gotten out of high school just recently. She was looking into going to Idaho State University.
Angie, she was a loud, outgoing person. If she had something to say, she said it.
Angie's car was called the boat, and she would stick her foot out the window while she was driving. It was quite the sight. It was fun.
Angie was the youngest of 4 children.
She was not only my baby, but she was my only daughter. She was extremely intelligent. She didn't take no for an answer.
Angie had moved into an upstairs apartment in this house 3 weeks before being murdered there.
The house was a 2-story single-family dwellings and it's converted into apartments.
It's an older neighborhood in Idaho Falls. It had seen better days.
The police gathered DNA at the crime scene.
The semen that we could see clearly all over the victim.
And skin cells under her fingernails.
We found one hair that was obviously different, one what we believed was a pubic hair.
We collected over 100 different DNA samples, and there wasn't any matches.
Ultimately, it's 6 months. There's still no killer arrested. When you have a crime like this, violent, horrible, it fills everybody in the community with anxiety. The police feel that pressure to get that crime quickly solved.
And then a friend of hers was arrested in Nevada for raping a woman at knife point.
Much like the similar circumstances that had happened at Angie's murder.
Police take immediate action on this new information. But it's going to be a lead that ends up destroying innocent lives.
The community was really shaken by this murder.
18-year-old Angie Dodge was raped and murdered.
Someone had raped and killed her.
Like a lot of small towns in the United States, Idaho Falls is a place where crime, especially violent crime, like the murder of Angie Dodge, is a relative rarity.
There was no obvious way of knowing who did it. Was it somebody I'm meeting at the store?
Who in their right mind would want to kill someone so pleasant, someone so joyful, perfect for life?
If I hadn't had the opportunity to tell her how much I love her, I don't know that I could have made it. That's what kept me determined to find out why my daughter was killed.
She wanted to know who did it, and just like I would or any other parent would.
Where DNA has been left behind, the expectation is that crime is going to be quickly solved.
They spent months trying to solve this case, and they're getting nowhere.
A frightened public demanding results in the aftermath of a ghastly crime also places predictable pressures on police, which can sometimes lead to questionable conduct. 7 months after the murder, police get a tip.
A friend of Angie Dodge named Benjamin Hobbs was arrested in Nevada for raping a woman at knife point.
Much like the similar circumstances that had happened in Angie's murder.
It's not unreasonable for the cops to say this is a hot lead. This is probably our guy. Ben Hobbs is the guy who killed Angie Dodge.
He was a very strong suspect.
Ben Hobbs is not simply somebody who knew Angie Dodge. He was actually in the funeral party, carrying flowers. It's not unusual for a killer who takes a certain amount of pleasure in the crime to be at the funeral. So this seems to be another telltale sign that maybe Ben Hobbs is the right guy.
The police drive down to Ely, Nevada to interview Ben Hobbs about the murder.
Ben Hobbs becomes their #1 suspect.
I have nothing to do with the murder of Angie Dodge. Was she raped and then she was killed? Tell me, was she raped? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, because if she was, my DNA will prove my innocence right there.
The police get his DNA. They go back to Idaho Falls and begin looking at Ben Hobbs's circle of friends.
There was a very large group of friends. They sometimes called themselves the River Rats because they hung out at the Snake River.
The riverboat docks was a hangout for a lot of different groups of people. And Angie was a social butterfly, so she would be in all the groups.
We all were dorks back in the day. You know, we all had good times and hooky bobbing and water fights.
They bring in Chris Tapp, who was a close friend of Ben Hobbs.
Chris had been a high school dropout for a couple of years. He's couch surfing from place to place. He smokes weed a lot, doesn't really work a lot.
I appreciate you coming out. I want to pick your brain for a bit.
They started asking Chris about Ben Hobbs.
What about that? Don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you.
One of the lead detectives, before he was a detective, was a school resource officer for the high school that Chris Tapp was going to.
So Chris trusts him.
You know me. I'm not going to screw with you. And, I think you can trust me.
Chris Tapp was brought in a number of times for different interviews and polygraph examinations.
I wasn't there. I know I wasn't.
Chris gets an attorney. He denies any role in the crime.
I wasn't there. I wasn't even down the stairs. I wasn't nowhere around.
Police begin a series of interrogations and polygraphs that will last for nearly 60 hours.
You're screwing with me now.
And then he begins to change his story.
The impression I got from you is you're like downstairs waiting for him. Maybe I was there, I just don't know.
Now the police have reason to be suspicious. There's a saying in the law, false in one thing, false in all. Somebody who's changing his story is hiding something even bigger.
You're really important. Who's with you? Ben.
Chris Tapp disclosed that he and Ben Hobbs were involved, but neither Hobbs nor Tapp DNA profile matched the CODIS profile.
Hobbs' DNA doesn't match, Chris Tapp's DNA doesn't match. So they're looking for a third person.
A mysterious third person who must have been the person who sexually violated Angie Dodge.
There's definitely another person involved that you have not told us about. Okay, the evidence is borne that out. Who's the third person?
Tell me the other person who's there so we can get it cleared. Maybe Jared was.
Well, Sergeant Sarah not. To my recollection, yes.
Chris ultimately names his friend, Jeremy Sargis, as the third man.
When Chris named me as a suspect, I was furious, livid, irate.
You're wasting your time. You're barking up the wrong tree. You're making it all. Absolutely a fool out of yourself. You really are. Excuse me? I'm making a fool out of myself? Yeah, because I didn't do. I don't know. I'm making a fool out of myself? I think you better stand up and look in the flipping mirror, bub.
The first thing in the Miranda rights, you have the right to remain silent. Seems like it's pretty important. You just shut your mouth.
Jeremy Sargis' DNA also comes back as not being the person who killed Angie Dodge. And he has an alibi.
Police drop Jeremy as a suspect.
Now we're finding out the sergeant probably wasn't there and that you were screwing with us. I'm not screwing with you.
To watch the evolution of what Chris Tapp says from one session to the next is really disturbing.
I wasn't there. Maybe I was there. I know I'm there.
How many times did you cut her? Just once.
He ultimately says, I'm the guy who cut her on the breast.
The cut you made was across the breast.
They can't pin this crime on Hobbs nor Sargis, but they now have a confession from Chris Tapp.
In February of 1997, Chris Tapp was charged with the rape and murder of Angie Dodge.
He was taken into custody.
The day that they took my baby's life, they took my life. There will be justice.
But there's still a major gap in their case. They still don't know who the mystery man is who left the DNA at the crime scene. To have a loved one murdered is a unique loss. Another human being made an intentional decision to kill this person you adored. As this trial begins, it's just certainly unlike anything in the life of a small town. There's palpable tension on both sides. Everybody is on high alert to find out the ultimate question. Did he do it?
On February 3rd, 1997, Chris Tapp is charged with first-degree murder with an enhancement for using a deadly weapon and rape.
Chris confessed to being at the scene with Ben Hobbs and this other person.
Ben Hobbs is never charged because he didn't confess to the crime and his DNA didn't match.
It's not Jeremy Sargis' DNA either.
Chris Tapp was the only one left holding the bag.
There will be justice. And going into the trial, it's reliving it. The horror. It's awful.
Carol was there. She went to the trial every day. She was a very visible presence.
Carol Dodge wanted him to pay. She wanted the death penalty. She wanted Chris Tapp to suffer the way her daughter had.
The jury saw him confessing to doing it, to participating in the crime.
How many times did you cut her? Just once.
Did she say anything?
Hell.
Chris's defense lawyers saw that there were problems with his confession, but the prosecution was successful in countering his claims.
And the argument is simple. Innocent people don't confess to crimes they didn't commit. Closed case. So even though someone else left his DNA on Angie, the jury finds Chris guilty as an accomplice.
The jury, for our verdict, unanimous, not guilty.
When the jury verdict came down, it was just sadness. Pure sadness. I couldn't believe I was going away. I couldn't believe I was going to prison.
I completely believe that what the police did was improper. I think that the questioning was entirely suggestive, and I think that Christopher just was led down a path.
We couldn't have done it without you.
When Chris was found guilty, all of us friends wanted the death penalty for him. We felt that he should be taken care of like he did to our friend.
Stand up. Make your stand. I'm Dr. Master. I know that everyone thinks I am. Judge, I asked you to spare my life. Thank you.
How dare he ask to spare his life when Angie begged for hers? How dare he? How dare he?
The judge ultimately opted against the death penalty. He gave him 30 years to life.
There are a number of issues that were raised during the trial, and I believe that there will be an appeal.
Tapp, do you have any questions about the sentence I just imposed?
Merry Christmas.
The family was very upset that he didn't get either the death penalty or life without parole.
And I came down here and I did everything I could to go. Doesn't anybody understand what's going on in this town? Won't anybody wake up? This town needs to wake up. Take your blinders off, for hell's sakes.
Even though Chris Tapp was now in prison, Carol wasn't satisfied. There was still the mystery of who left the DNA at the crime scene and delivered Angie's fatal wounds.
We still needed to find that other person.
But nothing happened. Nothing came up. No evidence came forward.
Carol Dodge is not happy that her daughter's actual killer has not been identified. So she decides she needs to investigate it herself.
Carol Dodge is a force of nature.
Force of nature.
She's a formidable figure, fierce, determined.
I don't think Carol knows what rest means.
She wants answers.
She's cajoling the police, saying, come on, you've got to find something.
I'd go to the police station every day.
Over and over again, she would barge into the chief's office.
And I say, what's happening today? IFPD got so tired of me. I say, I'm going out to the streets tonight. I literally went to the streets. I kept going back and forth. And I kept reading all of the documents of them.
She is convinced that she will notice something that the cops never noticed.
She's looking through them, trying to see if she can find more information about who killed her daughter.
Didn't have to know about this, I would say, but I do not know.
And over time,
I don't know what the hell you guys want.
she realizes that he really doesn't know much about the crime.
Where's the cigarette? In the living room. She was killed in the bedroom.
Chris Tapp's not there.
I wasn't there.
But the big question is, if Chris wasn't there, why would someone confess to a crime they didn't commit? One of the fixed stars of the universe of criminal justice is the idea that nobody voluntarily confesses to a crime she or he didn't commit.
I look at Angie's case, and in 23 years I've been trying to put this puzzle together, and the center's missing.
Like any good plot twist, Carol Dodge does something few would expect.
If I didn't have to know about this, I would say, but I do not know.
In 2008, she tracked down Chris Tapp's new defense lawyer, John Thomas.
One day after court, Carol Dodge stops me, and I thought, oh no, this is not going to be good. I'm representing Chris Tapp. Her daughter was brutally murdered. Carol told me that I needed to watch the videotapes of Chris's interrogations, and that she thought that Chris Tapp was innocent.
I don't know what the hell you guys want from me.
There were 9 separate interrogations.
It was hours and hours of polygraph sessions.
Unless you want to just tell me everything right now. I've been trying to. I wish I could.
Me, in my bright mind, if I help him, you know, I can help him solve this and I can become a hero or I'm a good guy or whatever it is.
Okay, we're just going to jump right back into it here.
Law enforcement claims that Chris volunteered statements that indicated that he knew about the rape and murder.
But when John Thomas viewed the tapes, he believed that the police wittingly or unwittingly reveal details of the crime.
It wasn't just stab once or slice once. There was a lot of aggression.
They ask him questions about, okay, well, where did she live?
Did she like live on the corner, or was it?
And they say, no, Chris.
It was in the middle of the block.
They ask him, which room was she killed in?
Where do you stick right? In the bedroom, or in the living room, or in the kitchen, or in the hall? In the living room. It was in the living room, yeah.
And they go, no, Chris, it's over here.
She was killed in the bedroom.
However, at Chris's trial, the detectives testified that they had evidence that proved Chris was lying to them, and that Chris always knew where Angie lived and where she was killed.
Separately, Carol Dodge, along with John Thomas, reached out to an expert in wrongful convictions to review the interrogation tapes.
Honestly, I just don't know. I do. I should do.
This was the first time that a victim's mother called me and said, I've got real concerns that the man who killed my daughter is innocent.
Drizin created a report that would later be used in Chris Tapp's appeals.
You know, an accessory.
It's the polygrapher that suggests to Chris he could get the gas chamber for his role in this crime.
They get life imprisonment in the gas chamber.
It's clearly the kind of threat that can lead people to give false confessions.
The Innocence Project, an advocacy group for the wrongfully convicted, also joined Chris Tapp's defense team.
I think that people would be shocked to know that the police can lie to you. The police can say that they have evidence in the case that actually doesn't exist.
There's no doubt in my mind right now. You were easily blood.
Although police tactics like these are legal, Drizin argued in his report that detectives took them too far.
In my opinion, the polygrapher wasn't there to test the accuracy of Chris Tapp's stories on the lie detector.
The charge you're telling me is saying to me, you were there.
He was there to tell Chris that he failed the lie detector test to get Chris to change his story to meet their evolving theory. That Ben Hobbs killed Angie Dodge, and that Chris Tapp somehow participated in the crime.
When I first took office in January 2015, the Bonneville County Prosecutor's Office began the search for and the hiring of an independent investigator to look into Chris Tapp's conviction. It became pretty clear that a lot of the information that Tapp had was provided to him by law enforcement, and there were concerns by our investigator regarding statements made by the polygrapher during the polygraph examinations that were coercive in nature.
However, the independent investigation concluded that Tapp was present when Angie was attacked and stabbed, but cast doubt on his confession regarding his personal involvement in her death. Drizin believes that Chris looked guilty because of the psychological tactics that he says detectives used.
I mean, that's my thing. If I was there, I'd remember it, wouldn't I?
One thing that interrogators often do is they attack a suspect's confidence in their own memory.
I wasn't there. Wait, I think you're sounding to me like I was there.
The police told me a few times that if there was something that horrific, you would definitely hide it and it'd go in your subconscious.
It's just like me. On some of the little stuff that we see out on the streets, my mind shuts down on me because I don't want to remember it.
I started second-guessing myself during all this. I started to not believe in myself or who I was.
I don't know, because right now everything I've been saying, what I think is right in my head, it's been wrong.
It causes a crisis of confidence in the suspect. The suspect doesn't know whether those memories are real or they are imagined. You can feel the stress on him, and it's really hard to watch.
You were there, you're the one that held her down, and Ben asked you to kind of help. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
I believe this confession was coerced, and in my opinion, with sophisticated interrogation techniques, any one of us could find ourselves confessing to a murder we didn't commit.
Did she say anything? Help. You heard her say help? Okay. I just didn't do nothing, I promise.
You think you're doing the right thing and you just want to help them. I was so scared and I just kept trying to do whatever they wanted. I kept trying to answer their questions. I wanted to go home.
When a jury hears a defendant say, I did it, it's almost as good as a conviction right then and there. It is extraordinarily hard for juries to understand that somebody would confess to a crime that they didn't commit.
I can say, I think without any equivocation, that had Mr. Tapp not confessed, there would have been no conviction in this case.
At least two of the detectives who were involved claim that they never gave Chris any information that All of the incriminating details that he came up with, he had simply volunteered.
How much will he serve before he's eligible for parole?
It will certainly be at least 30 years, so it will still be a very, very long time.
We reached out to the original detectives on this case, who have since retired, but they didn't respond. Ultimately, the prosecutor issued his own report in 2016. He determined that the statements Tapp's attorneys said were coerced were similar to statements Chris made to acquaintances.
The question for me was whether there was new, clear and convincing evidence of innocence. There simply was not.
Carol Dodge is looking at what the jury never saw. She is seeing the fullness of this interrogation.
She realized that Chris Tapp didn't know anything about this crime, that he'd been wrongfully convicted, and that whoever killed her daughter, he was still out there.
There is one person that killed my daughter. That's what the DNA shows.
There is the old saying that the truth is stranger than fiction. It is a moral triumph that Carol Dodge, the murder victim's mother, in her agony and in her grief, is still able to see the truth. Carol goes from being in a courtroom wanting the death penalty for Chris to being in the courtroom trying to prove his innocence.
There's not one speck of evidence on Angie that belongs to Chris Tapp. It belongs to one individual, and that individual has never been found.
She, I would say very heroically, has become the leading voice for Chris Tapp's release. It's one of those things that I can say, boy, I wish I wrote that. Chris has also evolved from suspected murderer to possible victim. He's now a 44-year-old man.
Life in prison was tough on Chris. He was very angry for a lot of years.
Prison life, it changes who you are. The violence and the stuff that you see while you're in there, it changes you. It makes you something that you're not. You lose yourself. And especially for someone in my position, being in there for something you didn't do, and I had such a hatred for that.
We filed 5 petitions for post-conviction relief, and they were all always struck down, struck down, struck down.
We just kept losing. You get hope, and then you lose hope, and then it destroys you, you know, a little bit every time, and it becomes worse.
19 years after the murder, there's a new prosecutor in Bonneville County.
In 2017, the question for me was whether there was new, clear and convincing evidence of innocence. There simply was not. We had concerns about the confession. I had some concerns about the level of sentence as it related to Tapp's admitted involvement.
Based on his concerns, he and Tapp's defense team agree on a deal.
Take his handcuffs off. The rape charge is completely vacated, so he's no longer a sex offender, but the murder charge would stay in place. We walk out, the doors in the front here, with our head held high.
Carol was there, she was holding my hand. She was happy that I was out.
Oh, it's just a day of celebration. Right, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. I still have a murder conviction standing right now as we speak. It limits my job opportunities. It limits a lot of things in this world.
He remains a convicted murderer in the eyes of the community, but he is also a free man.
I want the full exoneration. I want to be able to have that conviction expunged.
Ultimately, Carol Dodge and I decide, hey, we're going to continue pursuing this. We need to find the killer. If we find the killer, they'll have no choice but to exonerate Chris.
And for the person who did kill Angie Dodge, there's a bounty on your head.
20 years after Angie's murder, all of the main actors in the interrogation of Chris Tapp, they've all left the police department. New investigators have come onto the case. And They are ready to take a fresh approach to the crime.
The new group of investigators were not involved with the interrogation of Chris Tapp.
I got promoted to captain in October of 17, and I took over the case. We were still trying to search for whoever this person was, but we have just taken every street to the end, and there's nothing else to follow up on.
Genetic genealogy is progressing. More and more about the killer can be determined from the DNA that was left at the crime scene. And the tireless Carol Dodge, aware of all this, reaches out to a world-renowned genetic genealogist named C.C. Moore, and the Idaho Falls Police also join in this effort.
We've been exchanging emails, but this will be the first time that we'll ever meet in person. And I look forward to learning more about Angie and what happened, this horribly sad case.
Hi.
I wanted to hear a little bit about Angie, what you could tell me about her.
She was not only my baby, but she was my only daughter. She really went through some hard times when she was younger because she was big for her age.
Yeah, was she 5'11" or 6 foot?
And so she was bullied. And so when she would see other people being bullied or being messed with, she would get right in the person's face and say, "You leave them alone." Okay, we're gonna turn right here, left.
Man, this is beautiful. Look at the light.
I grew up out here.
You did, so you're a native.
Yes. My mom and dad were really poor, and my mother raised 5 girls with no bathroom.
What?
We had an outhouse.
Oh my. So is this her block?
Yes. Okay, this is it. Here, this was, the backyard, and there was a chain link fence.
22 years.
There is one person that killed my daughter. That's what the DNA shows.
So Carol is not going to give up, and I want to be the one to help her.
One of the fortunate things in this case is that police preserved the evidence in a basement evidence storage room. And what was waiting in that basement was the ultimate clue in identifying Angie Dodge's killer. As the science progresses, a DNA sample that was uninterpretable becomes suddenly clear as day.
This is the guy we've been looking for 23 years. Let's go catch murderer.
There's a bank. There he is. Yep, he's gonna be coming out.
Let me remind you, there was a real crime.
It was probably the worst case I've ever seen. It's the nightmare.
I'm Scott Turow. As a best-selling novelist, I've written stories about greed, rage, and resilience.
The bottom line is this.
But sometimes real life is stranger than fiction.
I don't know what the hell you guys want. I wasn't there.
Crimes of horrific nature are like a terrible explosion.
And I just know she was so scared.
I want to be the one to help her.
DNA detective C.C. Moore.
A supernova obliterating lives and remaking them in a way no one could imagine.
I had never been in a situation where there was such high stakes.
Man, this is it. Oh yeah, guys, let's do this. Let's go catch murderer.
Here he comes. Coming out. Yep.
We've got him.
Wow.
It was a miracle.
These are the stories that keep me up at night. The cases that are truly stranger than fiction.
All right, we're going to talk about the murder of Angie Dodge.
She was only 18. She had just graduated from high school. So when I started working with Parabon, one of the very first cases I ever asked them about, maybe the first case, was the Angie Dodge murder case. She was stabbed. I wanted to find this mystery man who left his DNA behind at the scene of her daughter's murder. There was semen present.
Okay.
And so the attacker did leave behind biological material.
Parabon Nanolabs is a DNA technology company. We analyze DNA for forensics.
Christopher Conley Tapp served 20 years in prison until he was recently released.
When we began doing genetic genealogy, CC was very eager for us to reach out to Idaho Falls and see if they would allow us to do kinship analysis for them.
Over the past decade, genetic genealogy has exploded onto the scene. I mean, think about this. People are able to spit into a tube and discover their family roots. CC Moore began using genetic genealogy to help people who were adopted find their biological parents.
I love you. I love you too. How are you? Good, how are you?
Give it up for CC Moore.
She received international recognition for her techniques.
And so some very forward-thinking law enforcement officials thought, could we, instead of submitting the DNA of an adoptee looking for their unknown birth parent, submit the DNA of an unknown suspect in a cold case and use the genetic genealogy techniques to determine their identity? And I knew the answer to that question was yes.
In October of 17, I took over the case. So when Parabon reached out to us, if there's something else that's going to give us leads, it's just a no-brainer for us.
So we got to get busy.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was get a list of matches. People who shared DNA with the unknown suspect. Match number 1. This might be a second cousin once removed or a third cousin-ish with the suspect. So if I can find their common ancestor, I can work forward in time to find the descendants who were the right age when Angie was murdered. And one of them would have to be her killer. Another match shares DNA. Their mother, her father. I started building their family trees and building genetic networks to find a common ancestor. This is my genetic network number 1. And then I built some trees of other people who shared DNA with the suspect, but did not share DNA with the earlier matches. So that would be my genetic network number 2. I'm now trying to find a connection between these two networks. Grandpa, great-grandma. That link will narrow my search for a descendant who might be Angie's killer. From genetic network number 1, we have a daughter named Cleo. From genetic network number 2, we have a grandson named Clarence. Guess what happens? They marry. Our suspect has to be a descendant of this marriage through a son, but guess what? They have 5 sons. Has to be someone that was old enough and young enough in 1996. So both their grandsons and great-grandsons could be our suspect. We're down to 6 possible males that could.
The state of Idaho is asking this court to impose the death penalty.
When I haven't found that answer yet, when the pieces haven't come together, the case doesn't ever leave me. It's always in the back of my mind. He's so young.
I adopted Master Animal that everyone thinks I am. Judge, I ask you to spare my life. Thank you.
Thank God he didn't get the death penalty.
Little did we know.
When I met with Carol, she really impressed upon me how important it was to her that Christopher Tapp's name be cleared.
20 years of your life has been taken from you.
He'd been released, fortunately, but he still had a murder conviction hanging over his head. I had never been in a situation where there was such high stakes. I had to figure out what had gone wrong. I couldn't walk away from this and say, oh well, wasn't one of the 6, I'm done, nothing more I can do here. I knew I could not fail Carol, and Chris needs for the true killer to be found so he can be exonerated. So the bad news is we don't have a match, but it had to be a descendant of Clarence and Cleo Ussery. That can't be a coincidence, and so I went back up that tree and back down that tree. When I had done the initial research, one of the grandsons had an early marriage. He was really young, his wife even younger. She was 16. 16! I mean, that's odd. I was really surprised not to find any children from that marriage, because most people don't get married that young for no reason. So...
Cigarettes on the ground, right at the rumble strip, right there, Dave. Right just past the lettering.
Where is it?
He said it's right past the rumble strip.
Dude, I'm looking for smoke. I don't see it.
I can smell it.
Oh, hey, Sage.
Huh?
There's one here. I don't know if it's it, though. Does it look fresh? There's a bunch of cigarette butts. Oh, back here? It's gonna be on your side, right, if you tossed it that way? Yeah, there's a couple over here. That one's beat to hell. They're all over, dude. We could have picked up 100 and sampled them, and we might not have got the one. It's crapshoot. It's crapshoot. And there's butts all over the place. Doggone it. This is day 2 of our surveillance, trying to get our DNA sample. He seems to be a creature of habit. A couple of times a day, like clockwork, he goes and gets him Bob. DNA truck right now. Somebody on our team thought that he would come out right about noon. Sure enough. Pick that right down in a minute. We're gonna follow him down here. We've got some guys pre-positioned. He's back northbound now toward the residence.
So we just got the information that our guy's moving back. He's going by us right now.
Thank you behind you. Coming out.
It's a bank. There he is. Landing in the parking lot. Yeah, just pulled into a parking spot. Oh, Central Bank.
Somebody got knifed. A suspect stopped here, did a little banking.
Milled out, and he's walking into the bank.
We're gonna stay outside, and our guys are gonna contact him when he comes out of the bank. We got our 2 guys on foot going in now. What up, brother?
Just standing at the main desk right now. So.
Copy that. We got John and Sage are in position, just so you know.
Okay, he's coming out now. Okay.
All right, heads up. He's heading for the exit.
Yep. 10-4.
Here he comes.
Yep. He's gonna be coming out.
There he is. Camo fatigues, black shirt, big long beard.
Here we go. They're walking up, making contact now. Stand by. It's our guy.
Sage, the lead detective on this case. The sergeant next to him. Got the lieutenant on the other side of the truck. Trying to see if he'll be willing to come down voluntarily and answer some questions at Caldwell PD.
I think he's agreeing to go with them.
He's trying to get back in his car.
Or maybe he's just wanting to leave and go away. I can't tell which one it is.
But it took craziness to get where we are at today.
There will be a constant theme as the police department talks to Dave, and that theme is Carol. And I know Captain Squire's report is heart and soul to it because of Carol Dodge.
Man, it was a lot of tears shed. It was surreal for me.
Today we're here to announce that we have arrested Brian Lay Drips. His DNA matches the DNA sample left at the scene. Carol, for 23 years, every second of every day, she's been looking out for her daughter.
Angie's given us something here. What we've learned from working with DNA in this case will be applied to many, many other law enforcement cases going forward.
I can't even express how hard this journey has been, and the hundreds of people that's been affected by one person's choice to take my daughter's life.
At the time that the Idaho Falls Police announced Brian Drips' arrest, Chris Tapp was still convicted of this murder.
Good work.
Thank you.
I recognize it was another generation of officers, but at this point, does Christopher Tapp get an apology and or reparation or something?
Chris Tapp's heart of this case deserves its day in the sunlight, and we will do that. That day is not today, but that will come.
Our justice system, lumbering, often blind, still does its best to make order out of our disordered existence. The saying is that justice delayed is justice denied. But that is not true in this case. After too many years and too many mistakes, Carol was finally going to get justice for Angie.
Count 1, as set out in the information, is a charge of murder in the first degree. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Tell me what you did, which makes you guilty of this charge.
Went over there with the intent to just rape her. I was pretty high on cocaine and alcohol. I had a pocket knife with me. I didn't mean to murder her, but I guess it happened.
Had police not focused in on Ben Hobbs and Chris Tapp, they may have been able to identify Dripps as the assailant long ago.
This is a 23-year case, and we're going to talk about the last year and a half and really focus on the last 6 months.
I could see Chris Tapp right over my left shoulder, and I kept peeking back at him to see his reaction to the news.
Dripps is 53 years old and has been residing most recently.
The press conference was overwhelming, but it was more of the vindication of it all. Because I kept telling them I didn't do it for years upon years. And it was good to be there for Carol. Her family can go to bed easier now, because they actually have the true killer. There was no hatred, there was no animosity. They were happy to see me.
Sorry you had to get 20 years of your life, but you gave it to Angie.
When Chris walked out of prison, he was not exonerated. He was still a convicted murderer. And so while he was physically free, he was not mentally free.
I was in that courtroom. It was a miracle to finally see Chris Tapp be exonerated.
I am going to grant the state's motion to dismiss both the rape conviction and the murder conviction on the basis of actual innocence of Mr. Tapp.
This was a community reckoning, and it just really felt like a restorative moment.
I'm just going to enjoy it every day, living the life that I should have been living for the last 22 and a half years.
That's what a free man looks like.
The silver lining for me in this case is Carol Dodge.
This case begins and ends with Carol.
Without Carol Dodge, Angie Dodge's murder would have gone off into the annals of boxes upon boxes in some basement somewhere.
She is the person that you in any context.
Her fighting for me to help get released is the reason why I'm home today.
Her quest for justice ought to give us hope about what human beings are capable of.
She renews my faith in humanity and in the capacity to forgive.
I love all of you dearly.
Only in the mystery novel are we delivered final and unquestionable solutions. The irony is that fiction gives you a truth that reality can't deliver. Our lives are often far messier than that. But if we cannot find the truth, what is our hope for justice?
And we should note tonight that Brian Dripps is now scheduled to be sentenced in late April.
And Cece Moore tells us she has used investigative genetic genealogy to help solve more than 150 cases.
It's really something. And that is 2020 for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Amy Robach. For all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, have a great night.